Blink-182 emo?
We are. Blink-182 is emo. We are. We started that whole movement. It was us, Rites of Spring, Jimmy Eat World.
Incorrect, but next question.
I will say this. Emo is just goth Blink-182.
Let's talk about the Matt Skiba era of Blink-182. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Blink-182 and the two Matt Skiba era albums, California and 9. I think enough time has passed that we can properly look back on those two albums. Right now I'm going to briefly talk about how Matt Skiba joined Blink-182 because I want the majority of the video to talk about California and 9. In 2015, while the band was getting ready to work on their next album, Tom's lawyer told Mark and Travis that Tom would be leaving the band again to focus on, quote, non-musical activities. Shortly after that, Blink announced that Matt Skiba of Alkaline Trio would join the band. Mark and Matt had been trying to get together to work on music, but it really never came together until 2015. And I think it's safe to say that both Mark and Matt didn't think when they finally worked together on music, it would be as Blink-182. And if you think Matt Skiba was a weird choice to join Blink, you really shouldn't. You can find old interviews with Blink where they talk about how much they like Alkaline Trio, especially Matt's lyrics.
Alkaline Trio, an amazing band. Matt writes some of the best lyrics I've ever heard in my life, and he is a total poet. They're a great band. They write great songs, but they're one of those bands on the Warped Tour that it's a little strange to watch Alkaline Trio play during the day, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Like they're like a band you want to watch at like midnight or 2 in the morning.
And it has to be Halloween. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Actually, when we heard Alkaline Trio for the first time on our last record, I rewrote like 3 songs because his words were so good. It inspired me to go back and rethink what I was writing about and how I was writing about it. Alkaline Trio, I think, is like
It's like the Paul Westenberg of like our generation.
Yeah, completely. He totally is. That's a perfect example.
Alright, now we know how Matt Skiba ended up in Blink-182, so now let's talk about his first album with the band, California. If we just look at the numbers, California was a success. It debuted at #1 on the US Billboard 200, and this not only secured the band's second #1 album, but it also marked the band's return to that #1 slot for the first time in more than 15 years since Take Off Your Pants and Jacket debuted at #1 in 2001. Getting into the album, the first song is Cynical, and I'm not saying this as a joke or as a hot take. I think this is the best song of the entire Matt Skiba era of Blink-182. I know it's the first song of that era, but we peaked. And when I say that, I want you to know, if it isn't obvious, I'm a pretty big Alkaline Trio fan. I grew up in Chicago, so I've been listening to the band practically my entire life, so I don't know how you reacted, but when I heard that Matt Skiba was joining Blink-182, I was excited. Blink-182 mixed with Alkaline Trio? How could you not be? How could it go wrong? And when I think about the entire Matt Skiba era of Blink, I just think we never got the perfect mix of each band. We never got the fun, bright, upbeat pop punkiness of Blink-182 mixed with the dark, gothic sound of Alkaline Trio. We got it on a few songs here and there, maybe a few moments, and Cynical is probably the best example of where it worked. And when Matt Skiba screams, "What's the point of saying sorry now?" That's it! That's what we wanted more of. If Cynical is a perfect 10 on our Matt Skiba era of Blink-182 scale, then Bored to Death is like a 7. It's also one of the only songs from California or 9 that Blink plays now with Tom back in the band. You have really underrated songs like She's Out of Her Mind and Sober, but the problem with those songs is that they are great Blink-182 songs, and Matt doesn't really bring in anything unique to them. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I'd love to hear how these songs sound with Tom. The 2 joke songs, Built This Pool and Bohemian Rhapsody, just should have been full songs and not, 30-second joke songs. They are the punkiest songs on the album, and they just go to waste. On No Future, Matt Skiba gets to stretch his influence on the album, but at the end of the day, it just blends in with the second half of the album, which overall is just pretty disappointing. After listening to California, I think both fan bases were pretty disappointed because we didn't get the best of either band. Before moving on, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. Please like the video. It really helps me out, really helps the channel out. I talk about punk, pop punk, emo, all that kind of stuff. So if you like any of that, please subscribe. Now let's talk about 9. Looking at the numbers, 9 debuted at number 3 on the US Billboard 200 with 94,000 album equivalent units, including 77,000 pure album sales. Whatever the heck that means. 9 was bad. That's the simple way to put it. I just don't know what Blink was thinking with 9. The album has a overall darker tone, so you would think that would lean into what Matt Skiba does best, because Alkaline Trio can definitely be described as dark, but trust me, it doesn't help the album at all. If California was a bright summer day, then 9 was a dark, rainy, overcast one. One of my big issues with this album is if you're gonna go in a more darker kind of a sound, I don't think the album needs to be this polished. I know with Blink being such a big band, major labels, all this money is going around, so nobody wants it to sound bad. But like with Dark Side, I think that there's a gritty, raw, darker version of this song on a hard drive somewhere that was probably a demo that the band was working on, and I'd love to hear that version, because Dark Side it's almost there to that Blink 182 Alkaline Trio mix. It's almost there, but it's just too nice. It's just too polished. Like, what is that chorus on Blame It On My Youth? That is the most generic pop chorus Blink 182 has ever given us. On a lot of albums, you'll hear people say the second half of this album is disappointing, or that it lags, or that it all just blends together, but I actually think from Runaway on, that's the best part of 9. If there was a greatest hits album of the Matt Skiba era of Blink, it would be Cynical and Runaway, Black Rain, Pin the Grenade, and No Heart to Speak Of. I swear Mark Hoppus tweeted out something at the time along the lines of, that second half of 9 hits different. I tried to find it, but searching for anything on Twitter has never been easy, but you can see that even the band knew that that second half of 9 is where the album really shined. And on a song like No Heart to Speak Of, we get screamy Matt Skiba, which is the Matt Skiba that we all love. The darker vibe that the band goes for on the album, it's executed perfectly here. If you're going to name a song on some emo shit, a song title that you know fans are instantly gonna go listen to, why did you make it so bland? This is a song that doesn't stick out at all, and I really think Blink had the chance to go out and do something cool on this song, really stretch what Blink 182 can sound like, and really experiment with the sound of emo, because emo can sound like a bunch of different bands. And especially in the early 2000s, bands ran away from being labeled as emo or pop punk. So after all this time, Blink finally names a song on some emo shit, and, you know, I don't know, make a Midwest emo song. Make a song that sounds like American football. Pull out some Fugazi. I don't know, do something. Like I said earlier, I just think we never got the perfect mix of Blink 182 and Alkaline Trio, and now that both bands have released new albums post the Matt Skiba era of Blink 182, I think both fan bases are pretty happy with each band's new album. I know Mark has said that there are a ton of B-sides and demos from the California and 9 albums, so hopefully we get to see those one day, because maybe those will have, or at least be closer to that perfect mix of Blink and Trio. I don't know how you feel, but I'd love to see a song with all 4 members. Mark, Travis, Tom, and Matt Skiba. And even throw in Dan from Alkaline Trio, and then maybe we can finally get the perfect mix of Blink 182 and Alkaline Trio. And odds are, with all these festivals happening, at least one of them I think will probably get Matt Skiba joining the 3 original members of Blink 182 on stage, at least for one live performance of one of their songs. Those are my thoughts on California and 9, the 2 Blink 182 albums that were released during the Matt Skiba era of Blink 182. Thanks so much for watching the video. Please leave a like, it really helps me out. Please subscribe if you haven't. Tell all your friends, and thanks for watching.